Right, on to the next thing. Here's a session on basic session safety. So, point of this session is looking at what it is to keep yourself safe in a session. Fairly self-explanatory. First thing, obviously, as a play worker, what sort of duties do you have as a play worker? So, first one is to keep yourself and others safe. If you look at page 13 on your book, by the way, sorry about that. Obviously, you take calculated risks, so you might want to trying to think of a calculated risk. Like most plays, to be honest, there are calculated risks you can take. You can run. Running is a calculated risk because you've got a greater chance of falling over. Obviously, jumping on a trampoline, swinging on a swing, pushing someone on the swing, kicking a football at the goal. All these different things are calculated risks, but obviously, you take those saying that I will do this thing, and it will still be safe. Like I've got a good measure of control of safety over the children when I do it. Next one is to follow the park's policies and procedures. I have a big copy of the policies and procedures in my office. There's another one in Louise's office. Obviously, you should be reading and familiarising yourself with these every year. I think from September we're gonna have a big old making sure everyone has read the policies anyway. But just being aware of all the rules, all that kind of thing is very important. Just to be refreshing your memory all the time. The next one is to communicate, obviously, all the time. The whole job is about communication. Like everything we do, making sure we're consistent with the children, making sure we keep them safe, making sure we're aware of any complicated medical needs or any possible dangers or anything that the children might come across. Make sure we're keeping each other in the loop all the time is incredibly important. And finally, be proactive. So if you could see where something might go wrong, let's say you can see some balls on the floor from the soft play, or you can see some toys on the floor that aren't being used, or something blocking an exit. If you can do something proactively to stop that, or say someone spills their drink on the floor, then do. Actively tidy those things up, put the ball away, mop the spillage up, all that kind of stuff. Just do what you can to be proactive. Looking at the book, if you want to look at the questions firstly on page 13, if I'll just give you, I'm not going to give you minutes. If you just pause it, have a look through the questions, answer them, and then we'll have a look at that, and then we'll go on to the next page after that. So if you just want to pause. Right, now let's have a look at the questions. First one, what's the first thing you do when you enter the building? Obviously, you sign in. The reason that you sign in is that if we were to have a fire, we'd need to know how many people were in the building. If you haven't signed in, we're not going to know that you were present necessarily. So that's just helpful, just to make sure we haven't forgotten anyone. So in an emergency, heightened emotions, you're more likely to forget stuff. So the last thing to do when you leave the building is to sign out for the same reason. How many gates are there that lead off to the site? There are 6. You can find 3 of them in the garden. There's another couple in the playground, and there's also one round the back by the log cabin. 4. Why do we check the details at the end of every session? At the start of every session, so check the details just to keep your minds refreshed. To be honest, make sure that you're just remembering allergies, that they're fresh in your mind. I've got to make sure if my child is allergic to milk, that they don't drink milk, for instance. Being aware if your child has epilepsy, if there are any other needs they have. Just simple things like making sure you kind of have a bit of a grasp of their likes and dislikes. If they're getting frustrated, you've got a few things in mind you can try. And lastly, what panic alarms used for an emergency? So if you need immediate help, something like a seizure or a bad kind of challenging behaviour or anything like that, or a big accident, you can press the panic alarm. The team leaders and managers will see on the little thing in the corridor where the panic alarm has been pressed from, and they'll run out to help you as soon as they can, which will be fairly soon. What's the difference between a hazard and a permissible hazard? So, permissible hazards would be things that are out and things that we play with that are still hazardous. So, for instance, the ball pool or the toys, stuff like the swings. Like the swings are all a hazard because someone could walk in front of that swing and be hit by it and knocked over. The reason it's not a dangerous hazard, it's a permissible hazard, is because those, the swings are there to be played with. And if we keep the area safe, for instance, keeping people away from the swings, making sure people don't walk in front of them while they're being used, then we can manage the hazard. Whilst obviously hazards like broken toys, blocked doors, open windows that are open too far, spillages, etc., all of those things are hazards that we need to deal with straight away, because there's no safe reason why they would be as they are at all. So if you want to turn over to page 14, there's a few other things there. So, things to look out for in a session, obviously. Things that could be a danger during the session. You've got spillages, obstructions, overcrowding. Particularly think about that in here, the sensory room, or in the soft play. Like if there's too many bodies around, people can knock into each other more easily. Sun cream as well. Obviously over the summer it's going to be quite hot at various points, so making sure that the children are got sun cream on, that they're looked after. There's other things to think about. So like potential change in behaviour could cause a hazard. Allergies can cause a hazard, obviously. If a child has an allergic reaction or an anaphylactic shock, then that can be very serious. Safeguarding concerns, so like other hazards can be, if you see something that's not quite right, and we generally need to make sure that we're practicing well. If you guys want to have a little look at the fire safety and the cleaning sections on page 14 and 15, we'll come back and we'll discuss those in a minute as well. So if you just want to pause again. And yeah, so let's have a look at what you got. Firstly, with fire safety, how many fire alarms are in the building? There's 3. So there's one in the main area, there's one in the porch, and there's one in the kitchen. So obviously if a fire happens, those are the places to run to, whichever is closest, to press the fire bell so we can get out. How many extinguishers and blankets do we have? We have 4, so we have one in the main area, an extinguisher, we had an extinguisher in the corridor, we have an extinguisher in the log cabin, and we also have a fire blanket in the kitchen. And where's the fire assembly point? It's the underpass. So we'd all congregate out of the building, get to the underpass. Obviously you can see the things that you should do in the event of the fire on page 14. So obviously you listen to what the team leader says, you leave, you take your child with you. If you can't find any children to take with you, then just get out. Leave obviously the nearest fire exit. The fire exit's obviously in the kitchen, the main corridor, in the main area. Leave in an orderly manner, don't run, don't panic anyone. Wait for the register, and then at the assembly point, which obviously, as I've just said, is the underpass, and then we don't leave there until we're told we can. Moving on to cleaning. COSH. COSH stands for Control of Substances Hazardous to Health, and you can find the COSH sheets in the cleaning cupboard, all kind of on the door. They're very important to read, just there to sort of talk about how we make sure we are safely looking out for the cleaning equipment that we use, such as the antibac, the toilet cleaner, all that kind of stuff. What things might you find in the cleaning cupboard? There is absolutely loads. You'd find gloves, wipes, bin bags. Obviously there's the black bin bags or the white recycling bags. There's the little office bin bags as well. Air freshener for the toilets. You find the Hoover bags as well, so you can refill the Hoover if it gets too full. Anti-bac window cleaner, hand soap, paper towels, J-cloth, sponges, toilet cleaner or bleach, furniture polish, fabric conditioner, washing powder, and I've already said Hoover bags. So yeah, as you said, there's all sorts of cleaning equipment in there. Obviously, if there's anything that needs doing, that's the place to go. As you know, the cleaning cupboard should be locked if it's not being used. It should be locked while the children are here. So like, we shouldn't be cleaning anything that the children have access to while they're in the centre. We should wait till they've left. When you're cleaning, what do you have to check and what do you have to clean? So obviously one thing when you clean the toilet is clean the whole bowl. Make sure you clean behind the bowl, under the bowl, on the bowl, on top of the bowl, under the toilet seat, all around the toilet seat, and the lid as well, obviously. Making sure every single surface of the toilet is clean and dust free and germ free. Obviously make sure you get the mirror, the door handles and the flusher are very important. They obviously mostly get missed, but obviously they're the places where the most germs are being used, on our hands. The sink as well, all around there. We're going to be making sure that there's enough toilet paper and that the blue towels are kind of put away and there's enough of them in there. There's not just like 5 or 6, but there's like a proper pile like still in there. Making sure there's enough soap, that the soap dispenser is full, or at least usable for the next day. Ensuring obviously in the disabled toilet there's a few other things, like you need to check the potty, you need to check the actual changing bed, and all the surfaces all over the place, so like the wooden surfaces and all that, the bin lids, all that kind of stuff needs to be cleaned as well. So that's the toilet. What about the kitchen? So obviously in the kitchen, you're cleaning all the surfaces, you're washing up, you're putting all the stuff away once you've washed it, sweeping the floor, putting the chairs back, making sure they've been cleaned, especially if they've been used. Check the bins, making sure the bins are put out round by the front, by the bins in the front. Put stuff away in the correct place. Check the cleaning cupboard is locked afterwards, etc. So hopefully, that's a useful session. There's some stuff in there to kind of grasp in terms of keeping the session safe. The other thing that's important is to think a little bit about accident reporting. So obviously we have accident and incident books. So if an accident were to happen, such as a child hurting themselves, falling over, being hit by another child, or hit by a football, hit by a staff member, or anything like that, we would put that in an accident book. In the accident book, we need to be reporting obviously who has been the subject of the accident, exactly what time it happened, where it happened, what exactly happened, did anybody else witness it. So please, when you're reporting an accident, don't just say, oh, so-and-so's fallen over in the main area and that's it. Like, please try and give us as much information as possible so we can fill the accident form in as detailed as possible. The reason we have to do those, obviously, is parents want to know what's happened to their children. So if they see a bruise or a mark on them that they're not sure where it's come from, then we can potentially be liable. So it's best for us just to be able to say what happened and what we've seen, and just, so that we can show that we've got a good practice of actually looking after their children and knowing what's happened to them. Incident book's a bit different. So children, if a child were to hit another member of staff or another child, if they were to swear, if they were to do anything like that was untoward, that was causing a problem or causing an accident, then an incident would have to be written up. So again, it's the same sort of stuff. Write up who they are, what they said, what they did, exactly what happened, what time it was, where it happened, who dealt with it, and how did they deal with it. So all kind of simple stuff, but you just need to be making sure that every single time you see anything that's accident or incident worthy, that you're reporting it, and then the team leader obviously can fill something in so they can let the parents know at the end of the day, or if it's a head injury or something like that, maybe even sooner. So please be making sure that you're staying vigilant with accidents and incidents. Other than that, thanks for the attention in this session, and let's move on, shall we?